Okay, so now that we are in Unreal Engine, we loaded everything that we had finished in the previous video. And now all I need to do is, because we started a folder called models, and here I'm having another folder called Erica Body, which will be empty. Let's import what we just exported from Maya. So if I go into this, it's going to be Erica FBX2 rig. That's the last one we just created. Let's open it.
Hit subscribe.
And it shows me in options what to choose. I'm not going to choose any skeleton because we want to bring the skeleton that we already made in Maya. And let's do import all. I'm just ignoring the geometry mesh. And what we have here, if I double click on this, you can see that we have Erica without the hood, without the cloth, and without the back cloth, which seems okay to me. Let's close this. And now let's create another folder, and we call it cloths. Go into it, and let's import in just the cloth object. Erica cloth FBX2 rig, which is exactly what we just exported, and we'll do import all. Yes. And now what we have here, we have the cloth object, the back cloth, and our little belt, which is exactly what we need. Now the nice thing about this is if I put this object here, just to see how it looks, and I'm going to zero it out, it's going to be right on top of our mannequin or metahuman character. But we have our Erica right there. We're going to work on that some more. But let's say if I put the cloth object and I'm going to zero it out, if I go and press on this and zero it out, it should fit perfectly on our FBX Erica. Now this is the metahuman. We can hide it for the second. And you can see that if I drag and drop our friends here, let's select one of them. Now I'll go back into the component mesh, static mesh, and zero it out. It should be aligning perfectly where Erica body is. Now select the belt, do the same thing, zero it out, and it should be here. Now we're going to use it later when we use a little thing, beautiful thing in Unreal called chaos. But for now, I just wanted to show you how this fits perfectly. Of course, what we could have done, we could have taken this and we could have smoothed it a little bit more so it will be a smooth object, but we can do it later. We can actually go back into Maya, smooth it, and then export it again. Project here, let's have our belt and let's have our back cloths, back cloth, belts, and the hood. And I don't need them right now. I can delete them because right now what I need is I need to make sure that we have a proper rig. So let's save this file. Control-Shift+S, so it saves everything in those files. Now I do need something else. I do need something else to make sure that Erica does have a rig to it, which is a control rig. You can unhide our metahuman. And the nice thing I want to show before I do that, if I take the metahuman and put it a little bit high, pretty much the same height as where our Erica is, you can see that they pretty much match because we used the FBX as our mesh object to create our metahuman, and you can see the potential of where it's going to be, which is very, very, very nice. We can hide her again. But I want to add something else to our scene to make a control rig for our Erica. And for that, I'm going to use the Unreal Engine content that we already had purchased and bought from the marketplace. So we'll open up the library. Now what I want to do is I want to add the Mannequins Pack. I'm going to add that to Erica Metahuman Unreal Engine, add to project. Overwrite files, yes. Let it do its thing, and then we can close this. Once we did that, we can go into our content browser and we can see these are the things that we already had, but we do have another object or another folder called control rig. If I go into it, go into the mannequins, and then here we have rigs, meshes, materials, and animations. So if I go into rigs, we can see that there are two different rigs here. We have this control rig mannequin basic biped, and we have control rig mannequin control body control rig. Now they both are many, but if I go into, let's say, the basic control rig, let's just see how it looks. Double click on that. And you can see that this is, as it says, it's a very basic control rig. It's got the controllers that we need, and that's all it is. But you can see that this is many. And if I double click on this, it is a little bit, the rig is a little bit more extensive. There's probably more controllers on it. And you can see that it's got more of an FK IK switch. You can see that this is right now an FK arm. I think we're going to use this. So what I'll do is I will right click on this, right click on it, and I'm going to go to duplicate. And I'm going to call it control rig. And instead of mannequin, you're going to call it Erica. And I'm doing it in caps, body, call it to get rid of the 1. And we do have control rig Erica. If I'll double click on that, we have a little Erica. I can go and see rig hierarchy. This is all the control, the joints that mannequin has, curve and all that stuff, but blueprint. That's important. So now what we'll do is we'll go and look at the preview. Now preview mesh, instead of SKM many, I'm going to choose Erica. I'm going to select for Erica. Now the thing is, press on this cogwheel and make sure that allow incompatible skeletons to be turned on. And you're probably going to need this for the whole project. It's something that is very important to do. And then I will, because I check for Erica, I know that this doesn't require the allow incompatible, but it's just a good thing to do and have in your scene. So now that I have this, let's press on it again and check for Erica. Now you can see that there's the skeleton mesh for the face because we have the Metahuman, and we also have 2 objects here. One is the FX new body, FMed new body, but there's also Erica FBX to rig, which is basically what we just exported. So if I press on this, look what happens here. You can see that we have our control rig on our Erica. You can see that the pelvis has shifted just a little bit. It went a little bit higher. If I press on this and I try and move her around, you can see that it actually is working. Now we do have rotation, which is nice, but again, you can basically move it around. You can switch and change how the controllers look and where they are. So if you think that the pelvis is a little bit too high, you can take it down, you can move around the controllers. Let's say you want to change the location of those controllers, like this one. It seems to me like it's a little bit too high. I note that the pivot point seems like it's matching, but if you want to change the location of controllers, you can actually go into the shape transform on the right, and you can see it might be closed for you. You can change the shape transform here, and over here you have the translate, rotate, and the scale. So if I take this, for example, and I take it, let's say 10, you can see that it went a little bit high. So let's do -10. And let's say I like that. Now the pivot point is matching to what we need to have to where the skeleton is. But if I take this one and take it -10 as well, it's going to be in the same location as the previous controller. But this seems to be working well. Now, of course, you can change all of them. You can change each and every one that you want. You can change the rotation of this. -70. Let's do -70 and see how it looks. And let's do the same thing with this. Let's do -70, and we have the same. So we cannot have, you can change the location, we can change the rotation, the location, and everything would work. Now let's say we like it. Let's compile. And we can basically save this. You can see that there's a little asterisk here. And we can save this and close this. There you go. I basically don't need this anymore. I can get rid of it. And now we have Erica's body. Now I want to make sure that everything is in the same location. So I will go into Window and I'll go into Content Browser and open up Content Browser 2. And we have a new window open. So let's go and make sure that we have our character Erica with a control rig at the same location. So if we go into models, we have Erica's body. Now I could create another folder here because I like to be very clean and very precise in my project. So I'll call it control rig. Erica. Let's drag our new control rig into this folder and we'll say move here. Maybe I'll close this because this is belonging to the mannequin. If we go into here, I'm going to go into models, Erica's body, and we have control rig. If I drag this over to the center, so we have an animation tab and we have place actor, which we had, but it also opened up a sequencer. And that is because we created a control rig and we put it in the center or inside our stage. Now, if I go into details, I can basically make sure that our Erica is zeroed out, and we have our Erica control rig ready to go and ready to be animated. If I rotate this, and see that our rig works, which is really good. We didn't really need to create our own rig. We just used the mannequin rig and created Erica from Mixamo working perfectly under control rig of the mannequin, which is exactly what we need. Now, if I go to the outliner and I will make sure that our Metahuman is on, we can see the potential of where this is going. We have our Metahuman and we have Erica, and her face is going to be really nice inside SPX from Mixamo. Now what do we do with this face or this head? Because we do need to make sure that this head is not really visible. We had Erica's face. Let me use this to create the Metahuman. If I go back into models, Erica's body, and we can see the transparent shader is right here. So what I'll do is I'll create another shader, create a material, and I will call it transparent. He called it clear. Let's change it to clear. Let's change it to clear because we have transparent shader already done. Let's call it clear. Now dice. Just double click on it, open it, and this is what we have. Now instead of what we're going to change here, surface is fine. Let's change the opaque into translucent, and it gives us this. But now we need to create another node. I'm going to right click and going to create a constant. Now a constant is just a value, which is 0, and all we have to do, make sure that we connect this to the opacity. You can see that once I did that, the opacity made the little object here disappear. I'm going to apply this and I'm going to save this. And there we go. And now what we need to do is we need to make sure that our head here, which is this transparent shader, is basically getting our new shader, which is the transparent. So instead of doing this, instead of having this one on top, I'm going to drag the clear into the element 0. And once I did that, you can see that Erica's head has disappeared, which means that she got the transparent or the clear object, that clear shader that we just created. Now if I move around, you can see that something is moving, but we don't really see it. I can see that there's a little bit of weight problem with the head and the arrow, but this is okay for now. We can deal with it. And also I can see that her mesh or her shader is not double-sided. So I can basically go into her shader and maybe tweak it a little bit. So I'll double click on that. And this is her material, and make sure that it is double-sided. apply it, save it. And now when I close this, we should see the inside of Erica's body because it's now double-sided. So now that we have Erica's head that disappeared, we can unhide Erica's Metahuman. And we will talk about what to do with the Metahuman and the body. The thing is, what I could do now is add the cloth, just for now. It here, put this here, and put the back right there. Go back into the skeleton mesh component, scroll up, and just zero it out. This, go back into here and zero this out. Same thing with the belt. It's right behind. There you go. Okay. I can really see the potential of what's going to happen, which is very, very, very cool. And now that we have transparent or clear texture, we can literally change what we have here with the object. Now, this isn't one way to do it. There are other ways to do it, but I find that this way, this method works pretty nice, pretty good. So if I go back into the content manager, go to content, and then I go into Metahuman, Erica. And if I double click on this, which is the blueprint of Erica, if I go into the body, you can see that we have the shader. Now what will happen if I change the shader to the clear Unreal Engine? So if I change this to clear and go into here, you can see that Erica's body is no longer visible. What else do we have here? We have legs, they got the torso and the face. Now the face stays with these textures, which is the Metahuman textures. Now everything else, the legs, the torso, and the body, it's because it's belonging to the body, it got the clear texture. The compiled is already compiled. Let's just save it, and we can close this. So now we don't see the body. All we see is Erica's face. But we do need to do something else. So I go back to the sequencer. So now that we have Erica's body in the sequencer, which is basically our character, our rig, I want to see that it's highlighted here. All I need to do is add Erica's Metahuman into the scene. Add blueprint Metahuman Erica. Add this. We have Erica's body, and we have the control rig and the Metahuman Erica, which is really good. That's all we need. So now I want to show you how to do something that is a little bit different. We really don't need the control rig for the Metahuman character. So we can get rid of it. We can only leave the face. Magic trick to do the Metahuman inside her body. So what is the magic trick? What do we need to do? It's very simple. You go to the Metahuman Erica, press on the plus, go to attach, and make sure that you attach it to Erica's body. And then here it asks you which stone you want to attach it to, or which socket do you want to attach it to. I want to type in head, and this is what happens. We get the 90 degrees, which is fine. This is really, really fine. Because now what I do is, if I take her body, I can basically rotate her 90 degrees. On the Y, I'll rotate the Y, and I can move her around to where I want it to be. We can basically zero it out and take it down on the Z. Then move her face to exactly where I want it to be. But see what happens now when I rotate and move the character. You can see that we have something that we probably don't really want, which is we can still see areas that we probably don't want to see. Of course, the cloth object could be hidden so that we can just have a little bit of her neck. Now, with this area here, I press on the G button to kind of hide the controllers, but we can basically take Erica a little bit to the back and T, rotate, and you can see that we do have movement. We do have Erica moving to our, according to what we do with the control rig. As you can see, when I move around the controllers, we do have the movement with Erica's head. Now, there's a little bit of a problem. The problem is that we still have her bust, or basically areas that we don't really need, like this area right here. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it so that you will not have this section also moving around, because we don't really need this.